most expensive possessions are. Most of us would give answers along the lines of instruments, houses, cars, clothes, and various forms of technologies. While all are expensive, none are your most expensive possession. The most expensive possessions you have, you cannot see. The most expensive possessions you have, you cannot touch. The most expensive possessions you have were not bought with money. Your freedom to vote, your freedom of speech, and all other freedoms are not free. Your freedoms, your most expensive possessions, were bought and paid for with the blood and sacrifice of our veterans, past, present, and future. And today is the day we set aside to thank them, one and all. World War II ended 68 years ago, and there are still horrors that my grandfather, a lieutenant in the Navy, never shared with my grandmother. There are horrors that he refuses to tell his children and grandchildren about. We all think that we have seen something disturbing, smelled something rancid, and have become so jagged that nothing could ever faze us again. But until you have stepped into that environment, that harrowing environment called war, you have seen, smelled, and felt nothing in comparison. There are very few of us who have ever experienced an environment so dire that it shall remain with us for the rest of our lives. But our veterans have, and we thank them. This brings us to the question, why? Why would anyone willingly walk into a place that will haunt them for the rest of their lives? The answer lies in the hardest four-letter word in the English language, love. For love of God, country, and family, those brave men and women answered the call so we can all sleep soundly tonight. The debt we owe our veterans is insurmountable, and a simple thank you never seems to be enough. But at the end of the day, it is probably music to their ears. When America is at odds with itself over wars, we forget about those who sacrificed themselves for us. The Korean and Vietnam Wars are perfect examples of this. The vets from Vietnam, when they came home, they were ridiculed by the people they were protecting, and the Korean veterans were completely forgotten or ignored. It wasn't until many years later that those veterans received a fraction of their deserved gratitude, and we now, more appropriately, thank you. When I think of a veteran, I can't help but be reminded of the men who raised the flag on Iwo Jima. What a powerful image of American adversity and resilience. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but I have yet to find images as powerful as those from the wars in Vietnam and Korea. For the first time, Americans received a taste of what war was truly about. While many people found those pictures disturbing, in every one there was a glimmer of hope in our soldiers, a shimmer of confidence, and yes, a trace of fear. The emotions captured in the face of our soldiers is a constant reminder that we did not send robots or superhumans. We sent in people, real people who love their country, her people, and freedom more than self. From the moment of the shot heard around the world, there has been a purpose to the fight, to right the wrongs of this world. There's an immense amount of selflessness that comes with being a veteran, and thank you. Today, we have many men and women who have served and are serving our country in Iraq and Afghanistan. Today is their day too. A veteran is anyone who has served this great country in the military, so thank you. People often wonder what are other ways to thank a veteran, as many of us may be nervous to speak to someone we don't know. I asked my grandpa this question, and here are his answers. First of all, when you are of age, vote. Do not take for granted what other citizens in other countries wish they could do. 2, make something of yourself. Get an education and become a productive member of society. And lastly, never was, is, or shall be free. So treat it as if it were to all be gone tomorrow. Howard Osterkamp, a commander in the Korean War, delivered the powerful quote of, "All gave some gave all." I would like to add on to his quote today. All gave some gave all, but all deserve our undying gratitude.
Thank you, Leah, for those inspiring words.